Hello and welcome to our very first video of understanding procurement and supply. Today in our session we are going to look at the STEEPLE analysis. So when making any type of strategic decision involving a business, it is very important to look at the business environment that the organization operates within. So today in our session, we are going to look at one common framework that can be used to scan the external environment, and that is the STEEPLE analysis. Because it is one framework that once evaluated, it can yield very useful information about the context within which the business operates. So now what is the STEEPLE analysis? STEEPLE analysis is a framework that is used to scan the external environment of a business and its influences. This framework is used in macro-environmental analysis. The framework comprises of socio-cultural, technological, economic, environmental, political, legal, and lastly, the ethical analysis of the environment. So this framework can help monitor the environment for trends and patterns. It can help focus and predict future environmental changes. And lastly, scan the environment for signs of any environmental changes that may affect the business, the markets, the suppliers, as well as the supply chain as a whole. So the first factor that we are going to look at under this framework is the social factors. So these are the representatives of the lifestyle, the belief structures, the culture, as well as the values in a country or region, and also how these changes may affect the demand, the preferences, and expectations of customers. So religious differences can fall into the category of cultural differences. For example, some religions discourage the consumption of alcohol. So a business must be aware of cultural differences that could affect the supply chain in the globalized business environment. Let's take Pepsi, for instance. It's one of the largest selling beverage companies in the world. It's a non-alcoholic beverage. So because it's a non-alcoholic brand, it sells easily to many different cultures around the world. So Pepsi may also recognize that consumer changing attitudes towards the sugar content is a threat, but also see that as an opportunity to improve its product to meet customer expectations. Lifestyles are changing too. Customers are more health conscious, so healthy foods and habits are becoming more important to them. So with understanding this factor, business will be in a better position, to make improvements in its processes as a way of meeting its customer demand. And then we have the technological factors. Here we are trying to understand the effect of changes in technology on industry, markets, and organizations, as this can affect products available to consumers, supplies available to customers, as well as quality of products. So we are looking at issues like automation, advancements and trends of technological gadgets and machinery. Technology has improved visibility in the supply chain. For example, the RFID technology. It has led to businesses being able to track individual items, which further simplified supply processes and led to a greater reduction of shipping errors. So when we look at the previous example of PepsiCo, the company recognizes the importance of social media. It can use social media to engage with consumers in real time. It will also need to keep up with the ways in which consumers of all ages use technology in order to get them to engage with the brand. So it is very important for an organization to understand and to be aware of any advancements in technology so that it can be able to be flexible enough to respond to changes in customers' demand. The next factor that we are going to look at is the economic factors. Changes in economies can affect both businesses and consumers. We are looking at how these changes might affect future demands for our products or future supply, even the cost of resources. There are issues like unemployment. Extensive unemployment reduces consumer income, hence reduction in demand for commodities, because it reduces the level of disposable income by consumers. There are issues of interest rates and the economic factors. High interest rates reduce demand for products bought on credit. The cost of borrowing money becomes expensive for businesses, which delays expansion for some businesses, as well as closure for some businesses. There is also issues of recession. So economic growth leads to an increase in demand for goods and services, as customers have high income. Recession, on the other hand, or a decline in economic activity can lead to retrenchment, closure of businesses, like we said, because customer incomes have lowered. And also we can look at it, exchange rate. Depreciation of currency makes imported goods expensive. Domestic firms charge less for exports, leading to increase in demand. And appreciation, on the other hand, currency makes imports cheaper and discourages exports. So these are the factors that an organization or a business has to be aware of. The next factor that we have under this framework is the environmental factors. So here we are looking at environmental issues and risks that affect the business. The factors can either be internal or external. The internal factors are within the control of the organization. For example, the culture and the norms of an organization. Basically, how an organization does things, how an organization operates. The external factors, however, they fall outside the organization. They are outside the organization's control. For example, weather and climate changes such as global warming. So it is very important for organizations to understand and be aware to evaluate the environmental impact of their activities, either positively or negatively. So businesses in this case, they may realize that climate change is not limited to one region and that it's a serious threat to its business. So it can see this as an opportunity to reduce its carbon footprint of its distribution network. Another example is that it could address the issue by making packaging more recyclable. Because when making packaging more recyclable, it can help improve processes within factories. And then we have the political factors. They determine the extent to which a government may influence an industry or company, either at a national or regional level. The likely implications of a change in decisions made by government and the effect of geopolitical conditions. Let's take, for instance, so some markets in which businesses sell products are affected by civil unrest or war, meaning that they need to monitor the situations and be ready to adapt to political changes in its market, as this can disrupt the whole supply chain. For example, the banning of certain products may be a threat to business operations. Imposed quotas on the quantity of imported products, which may be an opportunity for local businesses, and it opens room for massive growth. Because with quotas imposed on imported products, it actually prevents the domestic market from being flooded with foreign goods. So a business should be in a position to understand these factors and see how it can use them for improvement of their processes. The next factor that we have is the legal factors. This one relates to how an organization may need to adapt to conform to legal requirements in its place of business. It may include laws on consumer protection, employment laws such as national minimum wage, health and safety at work, regulations of mergers and acquisitions, just to name a few. So businesses operating in many countries will need, for example, to keep up to date with legal requirements in all its markets. Because not only does it help customers understand their rights and responsibilities, it also helps the business to reduce the liability in the case of any mistakes made by their staff. So the last framework in our framework is the ethical factors. Here we are looking at areas that can expose an organization to sustainability, compliance, or reputational risk. Consumers demand ethically sourced and produced products. So it is important therefore for organizations to meet ethical codes and standards established by regulatory bodies, or understand what is deemed to be morally good or wrong. So unethical issues may relate to issues of modern slavery, forced labor, debt bondage, just to name a few. In 2006, there was a scandal between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. An Indian environment pressure group has accused Pepsi and Coca-Cola of using water contaminated with pesticides in the production of their drink. So this accusation affected the reputation of both businesses. Pepsi had to even work hard to rebuild consumer trust in the ethical reputation of its brand by offering tours of its plant. So you see how this factors may affect the business as a whole, even the supply chain. So it is important because it is important to scan the external environment because it enables an organization to anticipate future business threats and take actions to avoid or minimize their impact. So that is all with our session today. If you like the video, you can hit the subscribe button, like the video, and comment with whatever that you want to learn. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.